Hey, good day, folks. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Sunday. I know I cannot complain. As always, welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. On this video, I will be driving through the city of Bowling Green, Ohio, as a few of you may already recognize. So Bowling Green, Ohio is located in northwest Ohio. It is 20 minutes southwest of Toledo in Wood County. And Bowling Green, Ohio is the home of Bowling Green University. Plug in my little computer here. So I'm going to give you guys some information about this city, and either during that time or at the end of it all, I'll give you guys my 2 cents about how I feel about the city. So Bowling Green has a population of 31,444 people, and the population has grown by 4.4% as of the 2020 census. And the crime in this city, violent and property, are lower than national average. And the racial makeup of the city is 84.1% white, 6% black, 1.5% Asian, and 6% Hispanic. Now, if you're wanting to live in Bowling Green, you will pay a nice little price tag for living in Bowling Green. I mean, right now, let's see, let me pull up some housing stats here. Thought I had it up already. Now, Bowling Green, Ohio, as many of you may already realize, is basically another college town. I mean, it's kind of like Bowling Green, Kentucky, in terms of the atmosphere, except it's a lot smaller than Bowling Green, Kentucky. And of course, as many of you guys are going to also realize, it's going to be a lot colder because we're talking northwest Ohio as opposed to southern Kentucky. So anyways, as far as the housing prices go here, the median home price is going to be $213,000. Now, there are some I would suggest, however, if you're looking to purchase a home here, be prepared to pay at least $250,000. Now, there are a few houses that are below $250,000, but there's not going to be anything lower than $213,000. I mean, I think there might be a couple, but like I said, not too many. And the housing market here is fairly competitive, so there's not a whole lot of choices to choose from at this point. Now, if you're looking just to rent, your median rent prices are going to go from $550 to $1,200 a month. So rent prices don't appear to be too bad. And as far as some things to do in this city, I mean, I'm going to start out by saying that if you're looking to live here in Bowling Green, Ohio, there's plenty to do in this city. I mean, if you're into outdoor activity, you're into going to parks and nature preserves and stuff of that sort, there's plenty of those within the city limits of Bowling Green. You got plenty of parks you can go to as well. And I would say this city is one of those type of cities where if you don't mind cold weather and you got the money to live in this city, this would be a wonderful place to live. I mean, you know, for the most part, it's a relatively quiet city. I mean, granted, you'll have a little bit of activity coming from the college. You might have some people that will get drunk and do what drunk people of that age group sometimes do. They might drive drunk, get into accidents, act belligerent, you know, dumb crap like that. But I would say for the most part, this is a relatively nice and quiet city. People here are relatively friendly. As you guys can see, it's a clean place. I mean, you know, people keep their houses up, their yards are clean, don't have a bunch of garbage all over the place. This is, I mean, me personally, if I was looking to live in the northwest part of Ohio and I had the money, personally, I'd rather live in a city like this as opposed to any of the suburban communities like Perrysburg. I mean, I know a lot of you guys that are watching this video that might be familiar with Northwest Ohio. Some of you might prefer to live in Perrysburg, or you might prefer to live in Sylvania Township over Bowling Green. I mean, to be quite frank, all those places are decent places to live. I mean, but honestly, me personally, I like Bowling Green better than all those other areas that I just named off. I think Bowling Green is a unique city. I personally like the setup. I like the energy. I mean, like I said, if you're into outdoor activities, there's plenty to do. So I would say, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you folks. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you guys that I'm a big fan of Northwest Ohio, because I'm not. However, there are certain cities in Northwest Ohio that I think are nice places to live. And I would say one of those places is Bowling Green. Now, granted, the housing prices here are a little pricey, as many of you just learned. But like I said, if you got the money to live here, this would definitely be a wonderful place to live. You're not far from Toledo. You're right by Perrysburg, which is a Toledo suburb. So, and so yeah, I personally like this city. I personally would live here if I had the money and I was looking to live in this part of Ohio. Now, as far as a little bit of history about this city, Bowling Green was first settled in 1832 and incorporated in 1855 and became a city in 1901. And this city was actually named after Bowling Green, Kentucky, by a retired postal worker he retired from. I'm assuming he retired from working as a postal worker in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Now, before Bowling Green became a city, it used to be considered a village. So yeah, Bowling Green, Ohio was named after Bowling Green, Kentucky. I mean, I had no idea until I began to do a little bit of research to put this video together. And Bowling Green, believe it or not, actually had an oil boom, which is another thing I didn't know. I didn't think that anywhere this far up north would have an oil boom. Well, I mean, that would be ignorant of me to say, because I mean, I spent a little bit of time working the oil field up in North Dakota, and you can't get much north than North Dakota in the United States. You can't get much colder than North Dakota. So, you know, I don't know. I just didn't look at Ohio. I didn't look at this region of Ohio as being a place where they ever found and produced oil. But anyhow, Bowling Green first experienced growth when oil was discovered in the late 19th century to the early 20th century. In the early 20th century, following the oil boom, came the expansion of the automobile industry. And I guess when you look at some of the history of the city in terms of its economy in the earlier days, I mean, they discover oil, and eventually, when oil in this region of the country dries up, then following the oil is going to be automobiles, which makes sense. I mean, from this point, you're only an hour and a half away from Detroit, so hold on. Yeah, you're only about a couple and a half hours away from Detroit, so I guess when I look at the history and concerns of the oil industry here, it kind of makes sense. So, although many people know Detroit as being Motor City, it almost sounds like before. Never mind. But anyways, I'm gonna keep on going here because I'm just mumbling at this point. So anyways, in the early 20th century, following the oil boom, was the expansion of the automobile industry. Now, as far as it goes for the economy of today, for those of you that are looking to live here and you don't want to have to drive into Toledo for work, even though it's not a far drive, but for whatever reason, if you desire to stay here and find some work, there are a few companies here that appear to pay a higher wage. Now, these companies I'm getting ready to name off are going to most likely be for people that got some labor skills. For people that got maybe a technical background, like if you have a degree in STEM, or if you have some kind of an experience in tech or working with computers or transformers, these companies I'm getting ready to name off are most likely companies that are probably hiring people right now. I could be wrong, I'm just speculating. Now, obviously, there's going to be plenty of blue-collar work here. There's going to be a plethora of industrial work here and around this area, and definitely in Toledo. Obviously, it wasn't always like that, because back when I lived in Toledo, you couldn't find work to save your freaking life. In fact, I remember during the recession, the last recession, the recession that started in 2008, I was here, and I used to live over in Toledo in 2009 and into 2010. And I remember it was around this time of the year in 2010. There was a McDonald's here in Bowling Green that had a few job openings. And I don't even think those openings were full-time. I think all those openings they had were part-time. Now, there were, if I can remember correctly, there was I remember reading this in a local paper back when I used to read newspapers before I got with technology and purchased myself a smartphone, and I quit being so freaking cheap and started paying for internet in my house. But back in the dark ages when I was crazy cheap, I didn't want to pay for internet. I didn't want to purchase a smartphone. I had them old school flip phones. And since I had no internet at the house, if I needed to use the internet, I went to the local library where I used to live in Toledo. And sometimes I would always grab a newspaper because I was, that's what I used to do back in the day. So, in fact, no, it wasn't in the paper. It was on the local news. I take that back. But I remember one day, it was one evening, I was sitting at my house in Toledo watching the news while I was eating I think I was eating a chicken salad or something. I was watching the news. And in the local news station has made mention that there was like 70 some odd people at this one McDonald's here in Bowling Green lined up for a job interview. Now, I don't know exactly how many openings that were there. I think they said that the amount of openings that were available were something like 5 openings, something of that nature. But there were 75 people waiting to have their turn at an interview and convince the hiring supervisor for a position. 75 people. And I remember myself when I was in Toledo looking for work. I mean, there's this one place that was hiring. It was production, and the line was so long that the line was out the door. And I kid you people not. I mean, the line was out the freaking door. And in fact, there was even a fight because people were cutting other folks, hoping that they would get in on the interview a little faster. So yeah, this region of Ohio definitely has seen the worst of the last recession. So for those of you that think you're going through something in this recession, y'all ain't seeing shit. That's all I gotta say. If you want to talk to some people that can sit you down and tell you some wonderful stories about a recession, come up here to Northwest Ohio. I remember back when I lived in Toledo, I saw people pushing grocery carts by my house because they were homeless. And all their belongings were in a grocery cart that they most likely stole at the local grocery store. But anyways, let's get back to Bowling Green. I just had to tell my little recession story for those of you that are crying about having to work for a living. I just wanted to tell my little recession story and just let you guys know that it could be a lot worse. I mean, at least right now you have the opportunity to work and make a living and make something of yourself. Because during the last recession, many people didn't even have that opportunity. But anyways, where was I at here? So as far as some of the best paying companies that are here in Bowling Green, Ohio, I mean, like I said, for those of you that don't have a education, or maybe you're younger so you don't have a lot of work experience, I mean, there's plenty of blue collar, low skill jobs around here to be had. There's plenty of production work to be had, either here in Bowling Green or in surrounding areas. But some of the companies that I'm going to talk about briefly are going to be, you got Life Formations, which is basically a Medtronics company, and they produce computer and robotic products. You got Lubrizol, which is a company that produces soap and surfactant productions. That is spelled surfactant. And basically what that means is they produce different type of chemicals that breaks down greases and different type of oils. Then you got Pagan. You got Pogen. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it. Hold on a second, people. I'm gonna have to go back on my little cheat sheet here. Cause I don't want to. I'm mispronouncing the shit out of these companies. Let's see where is the economy. I think this company I'm trying to pronounce is going to be called Pagan Mayer Design Group, which is basically an architecture and engineering firm. That's what I meant to say. I couldn't even read my own handwriting. I'll be honest with you people. I couldn't read my own chicken scratch. So those are some of the larger companies here in Bowling Green. And of course with Bowling Green University, I'm fairly sure there's a few openings for all you educators out there that have your bachelor's degree or higher in education. And there's probably other positions open within the college campus that don't require an education, such as custodial work, groundskeeping, and stuff like that. And as far as things to do in Bowling Green, in my opinion, Bowling Green is not a dull city. Is it a Las Vegas? Obviously it isn't. Oh, I guess it's going to be worth mentioning that what you guys saw a minute ago was me driving through the Bowling Green University. This is the Bowling Green University right here. In fact, I forgot to mention that to you folks. I was busy looking that other thing up. So you guys got a brief tour of the Bowling Green University just a minute ago. I forgot to mention that. My apologies. Now, as far as a few things to do in Bowling Green, Ohio, you got the Black Swamp Arts Festival, which is held every September. It's typical festival activities. You got the National Tractor Pulling Championship, which people can watch. It is held annually. It doesn't state what time of the year it's held, but it's once a year. Then you got the Wood County Fair, which is typically towards the end of July. You got Winter Fest, which happens 3 days during the month of February. It doesn't specify which 3 days in February. But basically, the Winter Festival is to celebrate the winter weather and cold weather activities. And the festival centers around ice skating and ice hockey events Events happen on and off the Bowling Green University campus. I mean, where I'm at right now, that's the Bowling Green University campus. Events include carriage rides, ice sculpture, and live entertainment. And for those of you that enjoy looking at classic cars, you got the Snooks Dream Cars, which is basically a classic car museum. You got Simpson Garden Park, and there's some other parks you can attend. Like I told you at the beginning of the video, there's plenty of outdoor activity here in Bowling Green. Like there's plenty of parks, outdoor preserves for all of you nature lovers. Bowling Green definitely is not going to disappoint. And I will say one thing. One thing which I will say, which I felt this region of Ohio did a good job of, were their parks. Like if you were to go into Oregon, Ohio, which is directly outside Toledo, it is east of Toledo, right by Toledo, Oregon, Ohio, off of Ohio Route 2. If you go down the street a little bit, maybe if you go down the street, I'm going to just guess maybe, 4 or 5 miles, give or take, there'll be a little park where you can go park your vehicle. It's not like it's a park to where basically it's a walking trail is what it is. And this trail will take you through a bunch of brush, like a bunch of trees, and then you'll get to see glimpses of some of the communities that are by the trail, and some of those communities are very nice too. And then the trail will take you through some more brush. Then you'll get to see an empty field. It's a nice little trail. It's very scenic. And then if you go a little further down the street on Route 2, on Ohio 2, there'll be another park which is also located in Oregon. Now that park will be a lot bigger. It's going to have that park is going to have a golf course, and the trail on that park is going to be even more scenic. And honestly, with that park, yeah, it's got a golf course. It even has a few cabins that you can rent. And I believe it even has a area where people can go and they can go fishing. Because I believe there's like a little pond in that park too, if I can remember correctly. But those are things that I will go more in detail of whenever I have enough time to come back to this part of Ohio and do more Northwest Ohio videos. And I'll come back up this way and do a video of Oregon, Ohio. But I just thought I'll run my mouth and talk about that. That's one of the things I miss about living in Northwest Ohio, were some of the parks that were in Oregon. So, yeah, for those of you that are thinking about moving here to Bowling Green, whether it be due to my video or it be due to just you like Bowling Green or you think you like Bowling Green, like I said, if you have at least $250,000 to purchase a home with, or if you're able to afford the rent prices around here, which don't appear to be too expensive, but then again, the numbers could be wrong. They could be much higher. So if you have the money to live here and you're looking to live in Northwest Ohio, I would say Bowling Green, hands down, is going to be one of your better choices of places to live in Northwest Ohio. That's my opinion, of course. I mean, there's plenty of things to do. The energy in this city is decent. People are friendly. And, you know, given that this is a college town, you have plenty of amenities around. You don't really have to walk far for nothing. And as you guys can see, another thing I will say I miss about living in the Midwest is the fact that many of your Midwest cities do have sidewalks. So if your vehicle breaks down and you have to either ride a bike or walk somewhere, or maybe you just want to get outside and get some fresh air and take a little walk around your neighborhood, I mean, that's one good thing about living in the Midwest. You got sidewalks for the most part. I mean, where I'm at now in Alabama, most of your cities don't have sidewalks. As we're here, most of your cities do have sidewalks. All right, folks. I'm done running my mouth. I'm gonna let you guys enjoy the rest of this video, and hopefully you learned something out of the video. So, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider doing that, and I would appreciate if you give me a thumbs up on these videos to help with the growth of my channel. And as always, I thank every last one of you for doing what you do, and I encourage you to also interact in the comment section. And on that note, you guys have a blessed one, and I will see you on the next one.